Hello everyone, my name is Ben Lam and this is my personal learning summary for EDL A2A Leadership for Inclusive Education. In this summary, I would like to share my 3 key takeaways about how practical, lasting inclusion depends on strong leadership, empowered teachers, sustainable innovation, and a shared culture that puts students at the center. First of all, about this course, I've learned that inclusive leadership goes beyond classroom strategy. It's about school-wide transformation. It means that a truly inclusive school isn't held up by one person or special team. It functions as a connected community where everyone, such as educators, family, and support staff, contributes to the well-being of students. Moreover, it requires both top-down and bottom-up support. Principals play a critical role in setting policy, securing resources, and maintaining momentum. But educators are as essential in transforming the classroom practice and building school culture. Another key insight was how school culture can make or break inclusion efforts. It's enough just to introduce a new policy or program. What matters most is whether there's a shared vision, open communication, and collaborative decision-making and collective action. Schools that involve teachers or students in the decision-making process are more likely to sustain it. I also learned how teacher mobility plays a big role, especially the second wave described in Huberman and Mize in the Sustainability of Inclusive School Reform Article 2006. This reminds me that for inclusion to class, schools need to be embedded inclusive practice into the culture, not just depends on a few champions. Final key takeaway is also taken from the mentioned article. That's how the nature of an innovation directly affects the sustainability of inclusive school. Innovations that are too complex, require too much change, or feel disconnected from the everyday realities of teachers often fall short. What truly works are programs that are manageable, clearly defined, and provide enough flexibility for teachers to adapt them in a way that makes sense for their students. This balance between structure and adaptability is crucial for creating a lasting and meaningful change. This also taught me that sustainable inclusion isn't about pushing through large and top-down mandates. It's about making thoughtful, strategic choices about the innovation we introduce. Leadership involves not only selecting the right initiatives, but it's also supporting teachers and staff in a way that empowers them without overwhelming them. For inclusion to be truly sustainable, it has to be feel integrated into the daily practice of educator, not like an additional burden. So this will be some of my personal action plans after completing the courses. This course had truly transformed how I think about inclusion and leadership in education. I once believed inclusion was primarily about classroom practice or providing individual support for students with additional needs. Now, I see it as something far broader and more profound. It's about reworking entire system, rebuilding relationship, and reshaping school cultures so that all students, particularly those who have been historically excluded, can genuinely thrive. I also learned that successful reform isn't just about having good ideas. It's about effective leadership, just resources, strategy, and most importantly, sustaining the work over time. This shift in thinking brought me back to one of the first articles we read in class, the value article. It still disturbed me deeply. It reaffirmed my belief in how often policymakers fail to deliver on promises that benefit only those in power, leaving vulnerable groups behind. Inclusion is often left out of these promises. Even when support is offered, students with disability are frequently separated from their peers. That's not a true inclusion, that's just segregation under a nicer label. For me, this can't just be an academic exercise or a leadership project. It has to be a moral commitment. Inclusion must be more than just a goal. It must be a daily practice grounded in justice, equity, and community. Moving forward, I want to lead with a mindset of a shared responsibility, where inclusion is not the responsibility of one individual, but a collective mission. I aspire to be a leader who listens, reflects, and takes action alongside others. That brings me to the end of my personal learning summary. I would love to leave you with my favorite quote about inclusion. Let's be the kind of leader who help build inclusive school from the ground up, where inclusion isn't an initiative, but a living culture. Thank you, Dr. Hayden and our classmates for being part of this journey with me. And please keep making a difference whenever you go. See you in another journey and have a good life.